Hi, and welcome to the top 3 micromanagement symptoms in your Scrum Agile adoption in 5 minutes. There are many different ways how Agile adoption happens across different companies. And because I love entertaining people with stories of Agile adoption, I want to focus today on the top 3 micromanagement symptoms in Scrum implementation that might appear like they are a good idea, done with the best of intentions, but actually go against the values and principles of Agile. Daily Scrum for daily report. The daily Scrum is an important 15-minute event that allows the developers to inspect their work daily and self-manage to plan the next steps towards Spring Goal delivery. The Scrum Guide clearly states that it is an event for developers. Scrum Master and the Product Owner participate if they work on items in the sprint backlog. It also says that the developers can select whatever structure and techniques they want, as long as their daily Scrum focuses on progress towards the sprint goal and produces an actionable plan for the next day of work. Developers are self-managing their work during the daily Scrum. It is not intended as a reporting event for the product owner or the Scrum Master. If the daily Scrum feels like a report to a specific person in the room, then it goes against the principle of self-management. It is not about the developers hate management reports. It is about management trusting developers to know how to do their job. True magic happens when developers are trusted and empowered by their organization. Think of the fifth Agile principle. Build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. Product owner and Scrum Master are still part of the Scrum team, and they should understand the team's progress through their daily interactions. There are also great tools like the Scrum board that can give quick insight. At the same time, remember the seventh Agile principle. Working software is the primary measure of progress. Implement the processes of continuous integration and continuous delivery so that anyone can easily access the current development version of the software and see how the team has progressed with their sprint goal. Waterfall columns of a Scrum board. The Scrum Guide doesn't instruct people to use the Scrum board, but it is a common tool implemented by many companies. In theory, there is a need for only 3 columns: to do, in progress, and done. In practice, some teams like to implement a column for each function in their cross-functional team. These columns they tend to represent sequential steps of their waterfall delivery. The Scrum Guide defines the Scrum team as a cross-functional. This requires organizations to break silos that people have been used to work in for their whole career. In my own experience, complicated columns on a Scrum board allow these silos to survive and thrive. The Scrum team as a whole should take responsibility for achieving a sprint goal and the delivery of each user story. If a user story is not delivered, then the whole team is accountable. QA column makes the team feel like that column is the responsibility of only specific team members, and the rest of the team cares again only about their specific columns. That doesn't really support collaboration, and it also does motivate engineers to make testing easier. It allows people to feel like there is us, and then there is them. The first value of the Agile Manifesto says, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. The Scrum team is expected to value talking to each other over being locked into a specific workflow in any tool. Being in a testing phase of a waterfall process is no different from being in a sprint testing phase. Avoid turning your sprints into compressed waterfalls. Transparency is the first pillar of Scrum, and the work of the team should be transparent for those who perform it as well as those who receive it. This transparency happens through Scrum artifacts, Scrum events, and of course by people talking to each other. Enable transparency without it being used to micromanage the Scrum team. Focus on tickets instead of Scrum goal. Agile practices focus on delivering value for the customer. To empower the teams to generate value, during the sprint planning, they need to understand why the sprint is valuable to the stakeholders. The product owner ensures that the team understands the product goal and how backlog items map to the product goal during ongoing refinement prior to the sprint planning. During the sprint planning, the team chooses items from the product backlog based on their sprint forecast, and the whole team collaborates on the definition of the sprint goal. For example, The product owner sets the product goal to increase click-through on a call to action button on blog posts. By refining product backlog items with the Scrum team, we will have multiple items that will track towards this product goal. During the sprint planning, the team will select a number of items, discuss the why, what, and how of these items, and define the sprint goal of, for example, implement A/B test of design changes for a blog page template. This approach empowers the team to collaborate all the way from ideation to delivery. The team doesn't need meetings to be explained what they need to do if they become the source of the solution through their understanding of the product goal. Tell me in the comments about your own experience with how Agile and Scrum works in your company. Did you meet with these micromanagement practices during your career? Are there other micromanagement practices that you would like to point out? Thank you for watching and see you again in next week. Bye everyone.